All right, who's ready for the Dirt Life Show?
Woo! Yeah! Man, how's your belly feel, Casey Peck?
So good.
We got those tacos tonight, man. That was awesome. Sonoran dogs.
Before he gets shut down.
Yeah, before he gets shut down tomorrow. Welcome, everybody, to episode 32 of the Dirt Life Show. We're happy to be with you guys tonight, especially in all these crazy times. I'm, of course, your host, Georgie Hamill. Got my buddy Casey Peck with me. And like I said, we just ate some tacos and Sonoran dogs, man.
It's pretty good.
It was pretty good. Well, we'll keep the intro going. Thank you very, very much for everybody joining us. We really appreciate it. Tonight's show is going to be killer. We can't wait to talk to our featured guest, Dustin Battle Axe Jones.
Seems to be quite the personality.
Dude, he really is, yeah. And obviously he's a happy-go-lucky guy. I mean, he's just a good dude in general. Like, I can guarantee you every single person out there goes to shake this dude's hand every time they see him because they want to say hi and just have that infectious, happiness.
Yeah, good. Can't wait.
Yeah, we're stoked to have him on, man. He's taking some time out of his busy schedule. It's 2 hours later over there in Louisiana. So, man, it's awesome. We're going to talk to him. So I'm glad that he was able to make some time for us. Thank you very, very much to all of our sponsors. We could never, ever do this show without you guys. You guys are amazing, especially in these tough times where everybody's going through. Thank you to the guys over at Shock Therapy. Those guys said that you can use the code DIRTLIFE on their website. They said their website's still doing great. People are booking appointments still, and they're just doing an awesome job over there. So I'm really glad that they're one of our partners. Solid company. So use the code DIRTLIFE. Go save a big old bunch of money on that on their website. Oh, excuse me. I want to actually get a T-shirt from them. Yeah, back up.
Just kidding. Hold your breath. Let's see if it works.
Yeah, exactly. So we and Casey were talking about before the show. If you hold your breath for 10 seconds and you don't cough afterwards, then you're good. You don't got the corona.
That's it.
Yeah, so you're good after that.
We don't claim to be medical professionals, but
yeah, we'll definitely not no medical professionals over here. Our tacos were delicious, though. And thank you to the guys over at Zollinger Racing for supporting us as well. Those guys build fantastic stuff, man. We still haven't got enough time to talk with them about what we want to do with this gear case cover, but they do amazing machine work and amazing product development. Those guys just have super duper cool stuff. So we are very, very glad to have the guys at Zollinger Racing Products on board with the show. So if you want to use the code DIRTLIFE to save some cash over there, you can. Sell super good radius rods. We gave a pair away to one of our audience members. And
Razor Junkie?
Yeah, is that who it was?
Yes, I think so.
Yeah. Good memory, dude.
Can you turn me up just a little bit?
Yeah, so good memory, man. That's awesome that you remember that. He actually got a really good good deal. Those things were like $900 and we gave them away. So
they were awesome. I'm sure he loves it.
Awesome to have people on board that are willing to help out our audience members too. So thank you very much for Zollinger Racing Products being on board with us. Go use the code DIRTLIFE at ZollingerRacingProducts.com to save a whole bunch of money. And, you can also use the code DIRTLIFE with Rugged Radios. They set up a code for us, for all your audience members. Everybody needs to be in contact with each other. So
that's a perfect timing.
Yeah, exactly. So if you're out and about, you can eat 6 feet. You don't have to actually, listen really hard. Like, if somebody's behind you, 6 feet behind you,
right,
you can just talk on the radio.
Everybody needs Rugged Radios. They can just walk around.
So you don't even need to have a UTV. But use the code DIRTLIFE over at RuggedRadios.com. You can save a whole bunch of money over there, too. And Solder Weld.
I was waiting. But.
Yeah, and we just got Lance joining us online.
Lance?
Said he loves the shirt, George. Unicorns. Yeah, well, thank you very much, Lance. I appreciate it. We love the unicorns, too. Thanks for joining us tonight, bud. I hope you guys are doing well up there in Utah. And obviously, thank you very, very much for supporting the show. Got the Solder Weld in the background, too. So, all right, bud. Let's see what we can talk about today, because there was a couple things that I wanted to talk about. Some of them are positive and some of them are negative. We'll see if we can spin them at least a little bit more positive. But one of the things that I want to make sure that everybody thinks about, I'm nobody's dad, right? But just be nice to everybody else. Really, just be nice, man. There's been so many people that are going bananas.
No doubt.
It's crazy. And so one of the things that I was thinking to suggest to people or to let people know in our audience is, I see people just at like going to the grocery store for a couple things, right? So I see people being very, very selfish. And when I say that, I don't mean that in a negative context. I mean it that they're probably being protective of themselves, right? But you know what you can do to protect yourself even better? Be nice to the people around you. Understand what they're going to do next. Think ahead. So give them some space, and then they won't bother you.
Right.
You know what I mean? So
Sure.
maybe take it upon yourself a little bit to understand your surroundings a little bit. For me, it's very, very difficult to do that, like actually, because I can't see or hear very well. So when I go to the grocery store, I'm like on high alert. Like I'm like looking around like double time. Like, so every time I go to grab something or pick something up, I'm making sure I'm not near some, like I'm just really trying to look out for the other people around me. And I think what that does is it really gives you the opportunity to help other people and to not have to be that selfish person.
Right.
Because if you are that selfish person that goes into the grocery store with a negative attitude, or any store for that matter, you really, really set yourself up for failure.
You're not going to get it back either, right?
Right.
Golden rule, just like Grandma used to teach us when we were little kids.
Yeah, do unto others as you want to do done to you.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So if you're over there taking the last of everything or not being courteous,
yeah, then
that's not going to come back. Yeah,
it's going to happen to you next time.
Way.
Yeah, right, exactly. So even in the parking lot and stuff, like there's people just going bananas. So my point only is that you can make it a better opportunity. You can make it a better day. You can always make it better for everybody else. So maybe just think about everybody else and their situations that they're going through as well. There's a lot of older people are very, very scared. They're even scared to get out of their cars. Maybe offer them to help.
Yep.
Say, hey, I'm already going in there. Would you like me to get you anything?
Yep, absolutely.
If you see somebody in duress, like just help out a little bit. Be a nice person. Don't put yourself in danger, of course, but obviously you can be a nice person and have some fun and make friends along the way. Mm-hmm. So that's one of the things that I wanted to try to not talk bad, but make it a positive thing for everybody else. So another thing that I wanted to talk about that I thought was pretty cool, and it was just to toot my own horn a little bit and pat myself on the back because I felt really good about it, was having FaceTime has always been something that's been a little bit, I don't know what you want to call it, but a little bit haphazard in my mind. Like, we can't get the guests in the studio because we live in a small town, so some of them do and don't want to come, right?
Right.
But having FaceTime, now I see how valuable it is.
Sure.
Because large media, Dr. Phil even had a studio set up that was very similar to the way that we have ours. So the way that we're entertaining our guests and the way that we're doing things made me feel pretty happy. It made me feel like the context that we're giving and the stuff that we're providing is actually doing a pretty good job. So I was pretty proud of that. And I think it's a really good way for us to segue into maybe producing a little bit more content with the show. I think everybody being at home, bored, I guess you could say. Mm-hmm. We should be producing more content. We should be able to. In fact, why don't we get some of you guys to chime in? Whoever is watching the show, maybe throw us some comments or something. Tell us what kind of content you think we should produce. Some of the ideas that we had were some of the essential companies, like Shock Therapy. They do stuff for the military, and they are still servicing customers' vehicles and things like that. But they have a very, very safe environment. We were thinking about maybe going up and doing some live content up there. Maybe we'll do a half hour behind the scenes or something like that with those guys up there, and we'll hang out and we'll have everybody be able to ask questions about the shop and just talk about how much positivity they're still bringing to the world right now with everything that they're doing. They still have everybody working. They're still paying all their employees. It's really, really cool. Mm-hmm. And I think those things are really worth sharing.
Sure.
I think it'd be super, super cool. Instead of, having all these negative things like, oh, we're getting shut down and we're not being able to do this, So let us know if you guys want us to do stuff like that and have that type of content if you're watching now. Obviously, if you're going to be listening to this on iTunes or Google Play or Stitcher or anything, you won't be able to chime in, but you can always direct message us. Hit us up on Instagram. Hit us up on Facebook. Anywhere we have presence. You can go to thedirtlifeshow@gmail.com, send us a message, and you can always go and hit up thedirtlifeshow.com anytime. That website has a whole bunch of cool content on it, so feel free to head over there as well. Have you been going out and still doing a bunch of stuff?
Yeah, we're still we're still working for now. And then me personally,
you said you were working from home though, right?
Yeah. So my office part of my job is at home office, which is kind of tough because my wife's home officed and the kids are home distance learning at the moment. Yeah. So getting that figured out, we had to work on that.
I think a lot of people are in the same situation.
I think it's and I consider to be blessed to be able to still do that for sure. I know there's plenty of industries that probably can't, so that's tough. So I'm happy to do it, and then for me personally, as much as I can, I'm trying to get out and into the sun and get on the bike and try to
ride your bicycle,
keep my head clear. Yeah, and it seems like a lot of people are doing that. It's been super busy every time I've gone out, and
everybody's living their dirt life.
Yeah, like the last, I don't know, couple weekends now, it's just like, wow. It's like a national out at Fantasy Island.
Yeah, Fantasy Island being one of the trails or parks that you can go and ride your mountain bike in Arizona where we live. That's actually really cool, though. Like, I was thinking some of the more positive stuff that'll come out of the end of this this thing that we're all dealing with now is there will be a lot more people that will be vigilant about being clean, and there will be a lot more people that are understanding of life in general and what makes them happy, because they will have been shown a different side of their life.
Right, you got to slow down a little bit and put yourself back in check and what's important and then what's not important.
Yeah,
take that stuff and throw it out. And I think a lot of waste is gonna. We're gonna realize that we lived with a lot of waste as well.
For real,
you know what I mean?
Big time. I can definitely agree with that. And well, me as an example, I've been quarantined for the last year because I got hurt, right?
Right.
So it's been difficult for me to even get out of the house and do things.
Sure.
Although I do. I was faced with that. I don't know what the right word is. I was faced with that challenge in my life, and now everybody on the planet is faced with a challenge. Not that they needed to be, but it definitely changes the way your outlook is. And I hope that it really has some positive adjustments for society after this. I think it'll be cool.
I hope that everybody can take an example from a lot of these awesome people that we've had on the show with that new normal.
Dude, yeah.
And just have that realization that, okay, the sky's not falling yet. What's my new normal? Well, my new normal is this, this, and this. Okay, how can I do the best with these things?
That's such a good way to put it. Yeah, the new normal may be just to be a little cleaner. The new normal may be just to be a little nicer.
Right. And be stuck in your home office or your house or your whatever till April 30th, it sounds like, for Arizona. But I hope people can take a little bit more of a positive spin out of it and go, like I said, okay, this is what I'm stuck with, but what can I do around the house? What kind of relationships can I shore back up, et cetera?
Yeah, exactly. I think it's just going to be. I think it's going to be really an eye opener for everybody, and I think it's going to be cool to see what happens on the outside of this thing.
Right.
Rory chimed in, said it would be cool to see some of the old pictures of everybody back in the day on their dirt bikes and stuff. Yeah, we'll try to see if we can bring some of that stuff up. I know Cody and I talked about in one of the first episodes that we had a long time ago to start posting pictures like that of old school pictures and stuff.
That's a good idea.
And I really want to see if we can get some more content and stuff online so we can have, more people interact with us. So
it'd be cool to have everybody's, like, a little at a time. So it's not just mine or not just yours.
Exactly.
Like, maybe people get over that after a while. Like, wait till they see some of the stuff from our guest tonight. It's so awesome.
So, yeah, Rory, we got some awesome pictures of Dustin Jones tonight. I mean, these pictures are stuff that he didn't even remember until he saw them, man. So it was really, really cool to see. And, we can't wait to share those with you guys tonight.
And they actually remind me of Rory. I know Rory pretty good.
Dude?
They remind me of Rory and his dirt life for sure.
So Rory, Casey, and I were just like, we saw a couple of these pictures, and then both of us were like sitting here like wasting time before the show. Well, not wasting time, but wasting too much time because I almost didn't make putting on the show because we were looking up old Yamaha three-wheelers and quads and like funny stuff, man. So we definitely agree with you. I think it would be cool to see that content. Maybe what we could do is we could do something even more interactive and have our audience members and friends of ours post those pictures on the Dirt Life show, and then we could start a huge comment thread and like have all kinds of fun stuff. Yeah, that would be cool. Maybe we'll have to kick that off one of these days.
Definitely.
Especially with the current times. Everybody's using old content right now, so maybe that would be kind of a nostalgic thing.
Well, you have to, if you have nothing to do at your house, you can definitely find those old pictures, right?
Yeah, that's awesome. And so, like the old, you might even have to take a picture of a picture, like what Dustin's mom had
done
to do.
that too. Yeah,
yep.
for sure.
Well, I'm glad that you guys are getting out on the bikes. I saw a bunch of other people that were getting out on bicycles and doing fun stuff and enjoying their, we'll call it, time off. So it is really cool to see that. I wish I could get out on the bicycle a lot more.
We'll have to do that here pretty quick.
Yeah, we can go on a little road ride or something. But,
definitely.
Yeah, I definitely want to get out on the bike some more too.
Rory said my pictures are probably black and white. I'm not that old, Rory.
For a little while. Okay, that'd be kind of funny.
It would. Oh boy.
Oh man, you guys got jokes tonight, huh? All right. Well, so we're going to have Justin from Shock Therapy come on in a little bit, and he's going to say a few nice words about Dustin Jones. But before he comes on, I want to get your guys' opinion too. And you can let us know now, or you can let us know in direct messages anytime. And we want to see what you guys want as far as content goes. Like, I think it would be super cool to go up to a place like Shock Therapy and do a live 30-minute show, like just on YouTube and Instagram or something, and really honestly just see if we can get some cool content. I think it would be really, really neat, and do some behind the scenes, show you guys how cool of a place it is, and just have a good time with those guys and really, really get to know our sponsors, people that support us. I think it would be super cool. So, looks like Justin called in, but we weren't able to answer. So we'll give him a buzz back here real quick. So chime in and let us know what you guys think, because we really want to make sure that you guys are on board with all this stuff and having a good time with us. So I think it would be neat to be able to make sure that we're doing the stuff that you guys want. Justin Smith, we got you on the line, bud?
Yes, sir. I'm here. How are you guys?
We are doing awesome. Good. How about you?
Killer. I'm doing great, man. Honestly, it's a little crazy with everything going on, but everybody at the shop is kicking ass, and we're just trying to kind of work with everything that the state tells us as best we can.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and that's one of the things that we forgot to bring up, Case, is that no matter what we do in this in the current time, if we're giving you guys more content and stuff, we just want to make sure we're following the rules too, because we don't want to be harming anybody else. We want to make sure we're being nice, having fun with everybody, and doing like some cool stuff for you guys. Oh, cool. Well, it's perfect timing for you to jump on, Justin. We said, yeah, definitely behind the scenes at Shock Therapy. That would be awesome. So it looks like our audience members are liking it.
Are you guys making promises?
Well, we would love to come up there and hang out with you guys. It sounds like you guys are staying pretty busy and working on some cool stuff, huh?
You know, our doors are always open to you guys if you want to stop by and see some of the stuff that happens behind the scenes. You know, we try to put out videos here and there about what we're up to, and maybe have some fun with things, because I think our industry should be fun. But we never really show some of the stuff behind that video frontage, I guess. You know, what it takes to design stuff, the stuff that we're working on in the future. 10 or 15 cars in the background that we've got ripped apart that we're building things on. So if you guys ever want to stop by, you're welcome to take a look, and we'll show you around to everything we've got.
Man, that would be super cool. Like, just hearing that kind of gets me excited about it. So I can only imagine what our audience would think about it too. So
I'm sure they'd be pumped.
Unrestricted Shock Therapy access.
He's like, I don't know about that. There's behind the scenes, and then there's no Area 51.
Yeah, don't look over here. This is too special.
Yep.
Oh, we'll definitely restrict you from that spot. It'll be a little atomic sign on the door to keep you out of it. But I do have some stuff that nobody's ever seen. That's for sure. Last time we've ever done like a shop tour was many years ago. We've moved locations. We've got three buildings now, and we kind of have things separate a little bit from the standpoint of CNC stuff and the race team and storage, and then what happens daily. So we have not done a shop tour yet.
That would be super
maybe you
cool.
guys could come over. Yeah, you could see all of this before we actually put something like that together.
Wow, that would be pretty neat. Okay. We were thinking about maybe, like, Casey and I thought like doing it live would be kind of cool. Maybe like a 30-minute Instagram live and YouTube live, and we'll just kind of walk around and have people comment and ask us what they think they want to see, and just have questions and stuff, so we could have a full interactive segment.
All right. Well, we'll have to do it on a UTV because we're going to go from building to building and try and make it happen in 30 minutes.
Dude, everybody can have a virtual UTV ride at Shock Therapy.
Is there like a some kind of old refrigerator door that you open that's the speakeasy where all the cool stuff happens?
Oh, I love that idea, man! If we could have we did a speakeasy themed showroom, I think we would get so many more people coming around. They probably would want. Some good whiskey, though. It might be expensive.
Yeah. That would be so cool. Well, thanks for calling in, dude. So we have our featured guest, Dustin Jones. I think you might know who he is, the Battle Axe.
Never heard of the guy.
Well, he's going to come on in a few minutes here. But I remember us talking about you guys had a pretty dang good battle going on at the Mint 400 this last race, didn't you guys?
It was probably the tightest battle of the race that neither one of us knew we were in, honestly, because, his tracker didn't work and we didn't know where he was. So we kind of drove a pace we thought was good. His tracker didn't work. So he didn't know where he was.
Yeah.
His team was trying to tell him. And so I know for sure Dustin probably drove his heart out. He had a ton of dust to deal with and had no idea where he stood amongst everybody else in the race and just had to run it hard. And by the time it all sorted out, he ended up third. We lost the podium to Dustin, as it should be, because he beat us on time. And, he killed it. He really did. I have no idea how he does that, missing the bottom half of his pants. But He does it every single race.
Missing the bottom half, you kind of need the bottom half of your pants. But apparently in Louisiana, you can get away with not having them.
Jorts.
Well, I think they have a name for him, right?
Jorts. Yeah. Poor guy. I love that, though, man. And that's one of the things that I love the most about Dustin is that, like, you really, really got to give him so much credit because he, like, genuinely, when I see some of his posts on social media, because he's so far away, that's our interaction with him, like, I get happy when I see it. Like, I'm like, I want to look at this content because the dude is so awesome.
You can tell he's just having fun.
Yeah.
He loves it. Yeah.
He's one of the most genuine guys. He really is. And when you throw a camera in his face, he turns it on. You turn the camera off. He's pretty much the same exact guy.
Yeah.
It's really, really, really cool to see. And he's a really awesome guy to race against. I will tell you, of all the people that we've raced against, he's one of the fastest guys in the dust. I don't know how he does. I can't drive that hard in the dust. If I can't see, I'm out. I know I'm going to blow right into a boulder or blow a turn or something. For some reason, he has X-ray vision or infrared. I don't know what it is, but he can see through the dust, and he just hauls ass in that space.
Dude,
he owns it.
I can agree with that the way that you're talking, though. It's because I'm a little bit more like you. I'm timid in the dust, but people used to always tell me, like, how can you see through that? Like, and I go, I don't know. Well, I can't now, but like when I was racing at those dusty races, I was like, I can see pretty good. Like, I can still see far enough ahead, and I understand that my capabilities, I could slow it down a little bit if I need to.
Right.
But now not being able to see, like, I can understand what the way that Justin's talking is because people genuinely do have different abilities with their eyes to be able to see that far. Mm-hmm. So maybe he does have some sort of X-ray dust vision or something. Because there's some guys in trophy trucks that can drive through that dust so like crazy. Nobody's business.
Yeah, that is insane.
Like,
it's a talent. It is a talent, and I don't know how people have it because I don't have it. It just impresses me every time somebody just blows right through it.
Dude, it's cool. It's cool. Well, and some of them just have straight balls of steel, but those
guys just go for the water.
Yeah, that's true.
At some point in time, no matter whether you can see through the dust or not, you're gonna have to send it for like the last 100 feet of getting up to a guy because no one can see. Period. And hopefully their brake lights are good enough to follow. Well, but if they're not, you're screwed, and you can end a race.
Yeah, so actually expand on that a little bit, Justin, because Casey may or may not know that. So the basics of it, Justin can explain more, is you get into somebody's dust cloud, you can see a little bit. Mm-hmm. You get up on somebody, you can't see at all. You get right behind them.
Get back to it.
You can see past
a little
them,
more
through
of a
them.
clearing.
Yeah. What's the usual way that you guys do that, Justin?
A lot like what you just said. When you're starting to drive through it, you get a little shot of adrenaline because you're catching somebody. It's like rabbit in the hare. Mm-hmm. I'm faster than him. I'm going to try and make it quicker. And then you have to fight the urge to overdrive because you're like, I'm catching him. I need to drive harder. And if you can maintain a pace to get through his dust close enough to where you can see his brake light, then you can drive off their brake lights. Hopefully you can. I mean, you still can't see.
Right.
You don't see what you're driving through. You don't know where the edges of the course are. And if it's single track, if you're off by a car width, then you're in boulders or a tree, end of race. So a lot of it's really touchy, but as soon as you see their taillights, you pretty much have to pin it to get on their bumper, because there is a spot that's about a car length off their bumper that is fairly clear, and you can drive right there unless they check up on the brakes and you guys are both eating it.
How gnarly is it for the car, though? Does it fuck up the front of the car?
Oh, man, everybody's bumper is different. I know guys have featherlight stuff. And
I meant more like the rocks and roost and stuff coming off the...
Well, I'll tell you what, we started the race with brand new visors, and after the first lap at the Mint, we got behind an 11 car. I mean, slow bug, right? For some reason, the tire he had was kicking up every rock in the world, more than a trophy truck, more than any of the guys in our class.
Running paddle tires out there?
It sure acted like it. And we was throwing massive stuff at us and just pounding everything in the car. By the time we got around them, the visors were destroyed.
Dang.
Completely destroyed from rocks.
Dude, that's
crazy. You just don't know. You're trying to get through that before you get pelted. I mean, one of those rocks will go through the radiator or something else important, or
right.
I mean, something ridiculous that you never thought would fail would get hit by one, and you don't want to do it. You want to, like I said, you kind of have to send it for that last 50 yards. You got to get through it quick, or that is where something would be dumb and happen to you that'll end your race.
Dang, that's why there's so much value in having a good qualifying time or starting up front, like how you sign up and stuff. That's crazy.
No kidding.
Well,
also,
yes.
Also, so important.
No, you're right. I mean, when we see the starting order, I look at the top 10. I'm like, see, they're gone. They're checking out. You know.
Yeah, think of how important it is for everybody involved to drive with their head on.
Yeah,
right? Because everybody has to rely on that next guy, even though you're passing him and he's getting passed. You still have to rely on that they're not being stupid.
Dude, I was just thinking about it right now. Like, so what Justin was explaining, like, so you're red on somebody's rear bumper, right? So that's kind of like NASCAR, okay?
Right.
So you're red on somebody's rear bumper, but they can still see.
Right.
You can't see anything,
Yeah,
and you're
exactly.
going through a single
Right.
track with all kinds of shit around you,
Right.
rocks, and dude, that's nuts, man. I've never
Well, imagine this. I mean, on your analogy, it's perfect. Imagine the backstretch at Daytona, but they put boulders in it that you have to figure eight around in the backstretch, and the only guy that can see is the one in front of you, and you're on his bumper.
Yeah.
Yep.
He moves one way or the other. You can't react quick enough. You're eating it.
Right.
That kind of scares me.
That's kind of how it is.
Oh, yeah.
Dude, that is so gnarly. Well, kudos to you guys for doing all that stuff. I didn't mean to get off on a racing talk, but I love this stuff, man. You got any funny stories about Dustin or anything? Like, what's one of the best times that you've spent with him?
God, man, I wish I could drink with that guy more, because I think you'd be an amazing time, but I haven't had enough time with him to do it. Every time I've talked with him, it's been really quick. It's been before races. It's been after races. I wish I had funny stuff, but I can tell you that the guy is exactly the way you see him.
Yeah.
And he will take the time for anyone at any moment in time to talk to them about anything. And he is straightforward and honest. And the other thing I love about him is he rocks a mullet, which I had when I was a kid. So he can't be all that bad no matter what you say.
Yeah,
Right.
He may not have been, although he does live in Louisiana, but he may not have pulled a Justin and had a crocodile or a kangaroo as a pet.
I don't know, man. And his alligators might be a lot bigger than anything we've ever owned. I know the guys in the crew, they were talking about trying to get Sparko to build us a suit that had no legs, and then we could. And we can get fireproof socks from Sparko and get Corey to approve it. He could race with Jordan. Can you imagine how cool that is?
God. That would be next level. Could you imagine? That would be just insane.
Even if they just colored it so it looked like he was wearing jorts.
Yeah, just have the fireproof
Yeah.
fireproof leggings that go all the way up. Oh,
yeah.
All right.
Let Dustin know. Let Dustin know he owes me a beer for the idea. It's gonna be amazing. We need to do it.
Sounds good, dude. All right, well, we'll get Dustin on the line right now. Thanks for calling in, Justin. I appreciate it. And maybe I'll hit you up tomorrow. Maybe we'll come up and we'll do some fun stuff with you guys.
Sounds good. Open door anytime. You guys have a good night.
You too, bud. See ya. Could you imagine a race suit with jorts?
Oh, it'd be awesome.
That would be pretty cool, man. All right. Well, we're going to take a quick commercial break real quick, and we will be right back with Dustin Jones. Zollinger Racing builds the best aftermarket products available. products for your UTV or snowmobile, including billet radius rods, billet tie rods, billet steering knuckles, billet steering racks, alternator kits, and much more. All manufactured in the United States in-house at their headquarters in Nibley, Utah. Travis Zollinger and his team test in some of the most brutal conditions, racing in places like the Best in the Desert Mint 400, Ultra 4 King of the Hammers, UTV World Championships, and many more. Visit ZollingerRacingProducts.com and use the code DIRTLIFE to get 10% off your next purchase, and join us on social media at Zollinger Racing Products to see our products in action. Zollinger Racing, the best products, period.
Hello, I'm Justin, the founder of Shock Therapy. Shock Therapy has been around for 5 years, but we have personally been tuning suspension on off-road cars and race vehicles for over 25 years. We tune between 10 and 15 cars per day, every single day of the week. Our concentration is tuning shock systems and supplying components that improve the ride quality of your car in many ways. Not only do we work on the average UTV, but we also tune suspension for race teams and professional drivers. We currently tune for over 87 race teams in Best in the Desert and SCORE. Our clients and race teams rely on our suspension components to allow them to win races and keep them safe. Suspension is a moving target. We are always trying to hit that target with every customer that we work with. Each customer's needs can be different, and we tune our kits accordingly. Our research and development never stops. We improve our components every single day. As the industry evolves and improves, so do our parts and kits. As of right now, we have over 100 products for UTVs. So when you bring your car to us, you have the satisfaction of knowing that you have the most experience, the highest quality products, and the fact that your car is being tuned specifically to you.
Yeah, finally, we got Lance from Solderweld in the studio. Thanks for coming down, bud. Hey, why don't we just record a commercial now?
Yeah, why not? So good to be here, man. It's been a lot. I've been trying to get down here forever, and I wanted to talk about the off-road kit.
Dude, I love those things. I got it in my pack.
Yeah, we're running hundreds of vehicles now running them, whether it's a UTV or some guy's got it in a backpack on his motocross. He's got everything he needs to make a fix right there on the fly, out on the trail, or in the desert, whatever it is.
Well, since I've already used one, I kind of know what to use it for, but explain what it does.
All right, so let's pull one out real quick. You've got your aluminum rods. Remember, they're rods, right? So, light torch, small torch. You can throw it in there or throw it on the rig with your flux. It decontaminates and cleans like, let's say, a radiator. You get a random rock chip runs through as you're racing. You get a rock chip in a radiator. You got to fix it right there or you're out of the race.
You can patch it up.
You can patch it up. It's all good to go.
Yep, just like welding.
Yeah, also as well with that, you've got a brake line fix. So with your flux, you can fix a brake line, stainless steel, and then your hot block, heat absorption putty. So it keeps you from getting burned, number one, as well as keeps the heat from traveling. So it's really, really nice.
I've used this not even to fix anything, so that stuff works so good, man.
Listen, it's easy. It straps in nicely so that you have everything you need in one little place, and you don't have to carry a big bag in
it's
the
It's like a first aid kit for your vehicle.
Yeah, chase trucks have it as well, so that, if they need to make a fix on the fly, they can get it done and get it done quick and get you back in the race.
Dude, those things are so cool. All right, so it's at Solderweld on Instagram, Facebook, and solderweld.com.
Awesome.
All right, thanks, bud.
Appreciate it.
Welcome back, everyone. We are stoked for episode 32 with our man, Dustin Battle Axe Jones. What's up, dude?
Thank you guys for having me on, man. I'm excited to be on. I enjoyed watching the first part with you talking to Justin, but outside of that, man, it's cool to see what you're doing and what you guys have going on. And I'm super thankful you invited me to come be a part of it.
Well, dude, we're thankful for you staying up all late back eat. Well, we're going to call it 2 hours ahead of time just to hang out with us, dude. It's pretty rad.
Yeah, dude, it's getting late over here.
Well, he's used to working hard, right? But so for anybody in our audience that may or may not know who Dustin is now he's a professional side-by-side racer. He grew up doing a lot of mudding, hanging out in the dirt, just like all of us did. He's got some pretty good accolades now. He helps manage and work at a company called S3 Powersports. They build some amazing vehicles, a lot of Can-Am stuff, because Justin is, as our guy Steve Ross said, Dustin is the king of Can-Am. And Dustin has done some pretty phenomenal stuff. I've always looked up to the guy because he jumped into the off-road racing scene with Best in the Desert and Score. He has had some awesome finishes. He's won the Mint 400, and he's also won the UTV World Championship, as well as countless other races. So Dustin has a resume that most off-roaders would love to see, including myself. So we are stoked to have him on the show tonight. So thank you very much, Dustin.
Absolutely, man. It's my pleasure. Thank you, guys.
So one of the things that we were talking about just recently before we get into your life story was that with Justin was that the Mint 400, this last Mint 400, you guys were charging. Yeah. You guys were charging, but the tracker wasn't working.
Yeah, so at this Mint 400, man, we got dead last on the random draw. Ugh. And so the Mint 400, dude, it brings studs, man. So everybody that comes out to that race is coming to win, and most everybody out there is fast. It doesn't bring a lot of people that's just one-time racers, never done it before, man. It's everybody that's studs. So when we saw we got a last-place draw, for sure we knew that we had our day cut out for us. And so charged hard from the back and pushed literally all 3 laps. I think we started off maybe 44th, 43rd or something like that.
Dude, that's crazy.
Yeah. And so I think we finished physically maybe 6th. And, man, just barely squeaked Justin out. So all we knew, like, as we were coming through the pits for the last couple of the last lap or two, is that Justin was maybe beating us just from counting time back and forth. And so, the last lap, it was like, I don't know, kind of didn't know exactly where we were. Knew we weren't going to take home the win. And so kind of had nothing to lose and just decided to hang it out there. So Justin and I ran a tight.
How was it driving through all the dust and stuff, though? Because he was just talking about that with us. But that's, dude, 44th place up to, like he said, 6. So 38 people driving through the dust. So obviously he was in the dust the whole time. But 38 people he had to do what we were talking about and come up on him.
Yeah, so was the mentality like, okay, we're going to do the best we can, and after you got one, you're like, oh, let's get another one? Or was it like, oh, man, here comes the dust again? Or maybe a mix of both?
Well, you know what I tell everybody whenever it comes to racing is, like, even in business, in every race that I enter, I set small goals and I fight small battles, and everything is a victory to me throughout the race. So we started 44th, dead last. So the guy that I started beside, the whole shot that I got on him, that was a win to me. And so that's when the race starts for me. And so I see dust, I catch that guy, that's a win for me. So I know I'm always making progress. I always feel good. We had a couple of drawbacks in that race, stopped changing axle, stopped to change the shock. And so we gave up some positions. But I don't necessarily go into it looking at like, man, I've got 44 cars that I've got to pass to get to the front. It is literally take time, enjoy what I'm doing. Racing is such a crazy thing, man. And it comes and goes so quickly, and it's the next best racer like that, man. And so I tell everybody, you have to take time to grasp what you're doing and kind of smell the roses. First we were getting to race the Mint, man. How few people get to race that race as an off-road racer? It's incredible. So that was a victory in itself. But then from there, it's just one at a time. You pick one off, you see some dust, you make some progress. So,
dude, I've always liked your mentality because you've always taken it like that with the happiness and really appreciating the stuff you go through. But hearing that just makes me understand him even more, because I do things the same way. Like every single little thing in my life is a victory, right? Like all the little things, not just going through injuries, but I can use the injuries as an example here. Like you said, you whole shot that first guy. Well, now you forget about it, right? But you're on to the next victory and the little one.
Yep.
And you kind of have a short attention span when you do that. But we were trying to teach some kids and understand, like let them understand. You write down little goals, right? And you have your milestones, and then you have your task, and then you have your goal, and all these different things. And that's exactly what Dustin does. Justin, I'm for Shock Therapy, actually does it too. But that's what Dustin does. And he said even with the business stuff, which is exactly the way I try to operate and you try to operate every day. I mean, when I got hurt at the UTV World Championship this year, one of the hugest victories for me was being able to open my mouth and suck on some liquid. Like, and I was like, all right, the next step is tacos. Fuckers. Yeah, we're doing this thing. So him passing the time.
Man, you're certainly a good example, George, that I've used many times of taking time to appreciate what you have, because you've gone through some serious struggles, man. And if you were in those positions looking forward at the hurdles that you had to overcome, and you didn't take say it was drinking, like get moving off of just a liquid diet into solid foods, or like when you learn to walk again, that is much bigger than going out and winning the Mint 400. And if you don't take that in little steps and like little processes, you'll never get to your goal. And so I've used you as an example many times for people, but
well, thanks, man.
But for me, when I pull up absolutely, man, absolutely. So when I pull up to the line in 44th place, it doesn't scare me. I'm comfortable racing from there, because at the end of the day, if we made some progress, I'm happy. Naturally, like I can't settle for second place, third place. I want to win everything. But the way racing is, the dynamic racing, if you don't enjoy the small victories when you're racing, you'll give it up. In a year, you'll be done racing because you weren't happy with your performances.
Yeah, exactly. And I was trying to actually tell, you know who Jesse Nelson is? He got paralyzed a little while ago, and he's now a side-by-side racer. I was trying to tell him that, too, because he's used to the motocross mentality, right? Motocross is you're really I don't want to call it forgetful because it makes him sound stupid, but you don't remember the last corner. You only remember the next corner.
Yeah, what's next? Just like you said, charge.
And so in side-by-side racing, it has to be a little bit slower of a mindset, because you always got to remember what you did in the last corner so that you don't break in the next corner. Like, how hard did I hit that last corner on the right side so I don't hit it as hard on again? So he's learning that stuff, and I was like, dude, you got to calm down. You're driving like a boss. Like, you got to – and Dustin already understands that mentality. So where did that come from, though? Would it come from just kind of growing up that way?
Yeah, honestly, growing up, we didn't have much money growing up, and so whenever we would get something, my dad really instilled into me work ethic, and he taught me how to get to the place that I want to be. But if you didn't recognize the little things that you were overcoming, you could never get to where you wanted to be. So like, I started with the junkiest four-wheelers that you can imagine, but my dad taught me how to fix everything that we got. So something that somebody would look at and say, I would not take on that project. I wouldn't touch that thing. For me, I was like, oh man, this thing only needs wheel bearings and a carburetor job. I can get this thing going, and then I'll have something to ride. But if I didn't do that, if I didn't learn it that way, I would have never had anything to ride. If I was just like, man, I want the brand new 400EX that just came out, I would never be able to ride because we couldn't afford it.
Dude, how much does that relative to us when we grew up, man?
Totally. Remember those old Kawasaki pieces of junk your dad would bring home for us to work on?
Dude, I remember, and we would work on them forever. But like for us, it was Jesus like brought home an angel. It was like, yes, like can't wait.
Yeah. So crazy.
Man, that's cool. Wait, we got to a couple people chiming in for you, dude. Lance Robinson said, the coolest side-by-side racer out there. Can you read that rest of that case?
Yeah, thanks for being a great person, racer, and supporter of this great industry.
Yeah, and that's one thing that we should talk about, too, is the support, because we were talking about all the shit that's going on in society and being nice to everybody, right? Well, he's a freaking advocate for that big time, because Dustin is a huge supporter of the industry, the sport, the genre of side-by-side racing, obviously doing the stuff that he does in Louisiana, desert racing, and people can learn a lot. Like, if you guys don't know Dustin, or if you guys have met Dustin before, you know exactly what we're talking about. Just go out and be nice people all the time, man. It makes a big difference in other people's lives.
I think it says a lot in just that little 4-minute spiel about starting 44th and taking small victories like that. I have a feeling that sums it all up. I mean, that's not everything, but that's huge. It
really is.
That's him.
I kind of feel like I should go ahead, Dustin.
Listening to you when you opened earlier for this podcast, and like I really like that you took a second to tell people, like, treat people the way that you want to treat it. It's hectic right now, man. Even in our stores and stuff, it breaks my heart to just see people fighting over just material things, man, that you can get by without, but just people take it to such a level. But you did that nice introduction, and it reminded me of something, and Justin also reminded me of it in the way whenever we go out in public and I interact with people, I treat everybody with respect. And the reason I do that is because when I was younger, I had an older brother that I hung out with. And, of course, I was the little brother that they didn't want tagging along, but my brother let me hang out. And you had two different types of friends, and I actually remember the guys specifically by name. One of them was really freaking nice to me, and I looked up to him, and I thought he was the coolest guy ever. And one of his friends was really rude to me, and I still remember it to this day. And I made up my mind as we started racing, and as I started realizing, like, oh, people are paying attention to what we're doing. I want to be this guy every time. I want to be the one when I interact with somebody and they leave me, they say, I want to be like that if I ever get into pro racing.
Well, dude, you're doing a fantastic job. Casey actually mentioned it a little bit the other day. He was saying that, what did you say? Never come off the track and throw your helmet, because that's going to make everybody hate you.
Well, what's funny it's not funny, but I remember I had a good buddy that we all race together, right? So we ride together all the time, and now we're at the track and for the race, for the weekend or whatever, and now all of a sudden it matters, right? You make that little switch, but you can't. You still have to remember that it's still all your same buddies, still doing your thing, and to that point, my buddy Mikey Whining came over, and he had a good moto and I had a bad moto, and whatever he said to me, and we were just chatting, and I remember I kind of tossed my helmet, and my dad, and I paid for it at this point. It wasn't like, full freebies, everything. So it was mine. If I felt like it was mine to kind of toss or whatever. And he told me that if he ever saw that again, never racing ever again. That's your buddy.
Yeah.
Don't forget what's important.
Yeah,
and
go shake his hand.
And I was like, wow. Yeah.
Yep.
Never again.
Dude. Well, that's cool, man.
That's a very, very good example. I remember growing up playing baseball, and my grandpa told me the same sort of thing. Like, we lost some game. I don't remember specifically what was going on, but I got thrown out at first or something, and I walked to the dugout, and he told me, you'll never walk to the dugout again. You run, you hustle off the field every time. And it was for a lot of reasons. You should be thankful that you're out here and have legs and you can run and you're not watching the game in a wheelchair from the sidelines or something. There's a lot of things to be thankful for and to focus on instead of just being a sore loser,
Yeah, and that's what I was talking about with it being at the grocery store and paying attention to what's going on with other people, because that's exactly what him and is that your dad told you that, was that to run off the field, because everybody else is waiting for you. You got 10 other people. Be respectful to those 10 other people, 12 other people, whoever's waiting. Like, it's not just that one thing that's happening. Well, dude, I love that mentality, man. And that's exactly why we started this show, The Dirt Life, is because it teaches you so much when you I don't want to say grow up with nothing or anything like that, because people with all kinds of stuff can have the same mentality. But when you grow up with very little, you respect every single thing that you have, and it makes you really, really appreciate when you have to put some work into your life.
You got to work for it. Yeah, exactly.
Well, that's a kind of a cool segment. Again, before we talk about how you grew up, Dustin, but you have a lot of people around you right now that support you. You got a really good crew at the shop. You got some awesome friends. So we're going to put up some pictures on the screen for some of the people that are watching the show online, and we'll describe them as you go through. But one of the pictures is you guys are both out there on the race car, yelling and screaming. That's cool. We got one of the mud vehicles that you built, and of course you're wearing jorts. Some nice jorts. We had to put that one in there. Oh, yeah, the new race car. We definitely want to talk about this new race car, dude, because that thing is sweet. I love the purple. You sitting there with your niece. That's a really cool picture that we were able to find. And, again, what we're going to talk about right now, you with all the teammates and stuff, that was really, really cool to see, because you guys have such a good support crew. I want to know what the names of all your cars are. Oh, with your Evel Knievel helmet on, dude. Yes.
That's the best.
That's an awesome one. You standing on top of the race car, giving the number one with UTV World Championship win. You got some support from Monster Energy now. That's a really cool thing to be able to wear a Monster hat. You on the PW50. Woohoo! And then obviously you started out in the mud with your bicycle, but Casey and I were going through some stuff.
Oh, there's my favorite.
Yep.
Tri-moto? Is that what that is?
Is it called the Tri-moto? Is that what it's called?
No, that was old Yamaha 225 DS.
Okay.
Dude. So
we were trying to Google it and figure it out.
We may or may not have been a little late starting the show because we got so nostalgic, and Casey's like Googling all these little quads and like, dude.
Yeah, but look, here we go again.
Got sidetracked, right?
A success story that started with the PW50 again. See, I'm not letting this go,
dude. So Casey's
I think everybody is on the PW50 at some time. If you off-roaded at any point in your life, you had a PW50 sometime.
Even if you were a teenager, and because we didn't do the 50s, that we were doing ATCs and stuff, right?
Yeah.
We were teenagers when you guys had those, and we all thrashed those. But yeah, there's always somewhere in the success story is a PW50.
So we've had a bunch of different guests, and Casey always comments on it too. Like we had Ryan Sipes on, we had a bunch of Jesse Nelson, like a whole bunch of awesome guests. Every one of them, PW50. Some of them were yellow, some of them were white.
Oh man, it's the best.
It's such a workhorse, and like it didn't change for like what 90 years.
I think it's still the same.
I think it literally is from 30 years old.
The yellow one that Dustin had in that picture is like it's got the duck beak on it. Now the front fender's a little bit more pointed.
And what's funny is that, and maybe it wasn't the PW50 for everybody, but everybody had that PW50. So for you, it was probably an ATC 90, ATC 70.
70, yep, absolutely.
Like for a lot of kids nowadays, it's the XR 50s and stuff, but everybody at some point had a PW50 that they relate to, you know.
Right.
Do you think
I agree.
Do you think it'll change? Like, how much different will be in, let's just say, in 2030? Do you think it'll be like those little electric bikes, or do you think it'll still be PW50?
I don't know if we're still allowed to have combustion engines. That thing's not going anywhere. I'm telling you.
Oh, man.
Actually, I don't think they ever made any more PW50s. I think it's the original run, and they just traded hands for the rest of the time. They've never made one since the first year.
Perfect.
It's it's like anti-Cs, dude. They made one run of anti-Cs and have never had to make it again.
Dude, I think the anti-Cs tube that we have, I think it's probably from right around 1965.
Right.
Like
off a ship somewhere.
Yeah.
Literally, I went to my dad's house the other weekend to work on something, and it was the same bottle of anti-Cs from when I was 5 years old in the shop working with him.
Yeah.
And I was like, how do you still have this one?
And it's still good too.
Right.
We had Devin Davis comment in 1989 Honda 50 was my first one. Haha, Louisiana too.
Nice.
There you go.
That's perfect. All right. Well, let's backtrack a little bit and get into your life story, dude. I could talk shop for way too many hours here. So you grew up in Louisiana then, yeah?
Yeah, for sure. So kind of like all American family, we grew up in the country way outside of town. Mom and dad lived with them in the house. My grandparents lived in the house just on the same property. We had goats and horses and chickens and like all that stuff. So I was brought up truly working. And that's one thing that I look back now and I thank my dad for all the time is I remember as a little boy, and I'm talking like 6, 7, 8, putting up fence rows with my dad and working, 14, 16-hour days with my dad. And I remember, sorry, the air compressor's popping off. I remember like later in the afternoons as it was starting to get dark, I remember crying while I'm like holding the fence post because I wanted to go home and play for a little while. And my dad wouldn't let me. We were building that place as a family. We were building it together. And I didn't understand at that time why we had to work so much. But now looking back, like, you can't accomplish anything without work ethic, man. And that's one thing I thank him all the time for is instilling me is that work ethic.
You probably get this question a lot too. So I always had people asking me like, dude, how do you get sponsors? Like, how did you, get this ride? And how do you, how did Yamaha help you? How did Can-Am help you? Like all these different things. And I go, honestly, man, the number one answer I can give you is hard work. Like,
100%.
You can be fast and win a bunch of races, but if you don't work hard, it's not going to make any difference to anybody.
100%. So, and even to that point, like I heard Kenny Rogers just died not long ago. I heard an interview with him where he says, you know, there's a couple of ways to climb a mountain. You can jump in a helicopter and ride to the top of the mountain, or you can physically climb that mountain. But if you don't physically climb that mountain, you don't appreciate what it took to get to the top of that mountain. And so certainly, I'm sure, you know, we get calls all the time of, dude, how do I get a Monster sponsorship? Man, how do I get a Can-Am sponsorship? And I said, plan on spending your life savings for about 5 years racing all that you can do, trying to win everything you possibly can, racing on a budget, and hope at some point somebody gives you a call, you know?
Exactly. Because without that hard work, and we've had a few kids on the show as well that, you know, they're wanting to understand what the new racing venture is going to be, and they're out having fun, and they're doing a fantastic job. But some of them really do take it seriously, and they were asking questions of like, what do you do to get sponsors, and how do you, you know, appropriate yourself and just be a good person? And I told them, very similar to what you said at the beginning of the show, I said the best thing to do for you right now is to write down your goals. Don't type it on your iPhone. Write it down on a piece of paper. If it comes off your hand, it'll have a lot more chance to succeed. And some of these kids have done that, and without them even knowing it, like I went to the races and saw one of them. His name is Caden Danbury. He's already achieving some of those goals, and he might not even realize it. He's doing a fantastic job. So I like your mindset, dude.
Yeah, it's very important. Plus, nowadays, man, honestly, it's the best opportunity to start a business, to get sponsorship, to create following, to become an influencer, because you have social media. You and I are doing a live, or us three are doing a live podcast right now that whoever wants to can watch. You're feeding people content live, like you can watch it now. So these kids can post and give shout outs to sponsors, and I always tell people, like, long before I ever got sponsors, I was plugging these people that I was buying parts from. Because I aspired to have them as a sponsor one day. So I was tagging wheel companies. I was tagging shop companies. Everything that I paid for with my hard-earned money, I would still tag those people and tell them thank you. And then that was my goal, but never did I know I would get to a point where they would call and say, hey, you know what? Let us send you a set of tires this time. Let us send you a set of wheels.
Exactly. And that hard work that Dustin put in, like, I mean, obviously he's saying that he's tagging them on social media and being a good marketer, but he did that for many years before he won the Mint 400. Yeah, and then all of a sudden he's put in work for whatever, 1, 2, 3 years, whatever it took him, well, his whole life, but in the side-by-side genre. And then it's like, okay, now it's the time. And that is what I think, you know, like Caden Danbury and a lot of these other kids are doing now, man. I think it's fantastic. You're a role model for these kids, man, and I'd love to hear that you have such a good attitude for these guys. Well, let's go back to what you were talking about before. So you grew up, excuse me, on the farm or the ranch with your whole family.
Yeah, and you know what a lot of people don't know about me and my brother and my sister is we were homeschooled all the way until we were high school age. And so we worked. My mom taught us. You know, we went to church together as a family all the time and like had dinner at the table every single night when my dad got home. And so we had a great example to follow in like a really, really good home life, and played sports and got taught how to. Fortunately, my dad was into dirt bike racing a long time ago. And so he was really mechanically inclined, and he instilled that in us, how to work on things. And so,
was he the one that got you your first dirt bike?
Do what?
Was he the one that got you guys your first dirt bikes?
Oh, for sure. But he didn't get it to us. I remember it was that PW50 that you saw the picture of. I remember when I was little, him making us work in the shop with him when he found it. I think he found it at a junkyard or literally on the side of the road by somebody's mailbox. They were going to throw it away or something. And he got it for us, but he taught us how to fix it. He would make us the worst thing in the world to ever have to do. He taught us how to hold the flashlight for him while he was working on it.
Love it.
If you want to learn some lessons.
Yep. Oh, you learned some lessons with that one for sure.
If you shine in the wrong spot,
if you want to learn some true lessons in life, you hold a flashlight for your dad.
Agreed.
Jeez, that will make you evaluate what you're doing with yourself.
Absolutely.
So
bringing back memories.
It was that PW50, man. Dad got that for us broken, like all messed up. We had to help him put it together. And I remember me and my brother would just take turns on it. I think a couple of times I fell off the back.
Whoa.
Trying to hold on, and we were riding at the same time. Like, that's where we picked it up, man.
Do you remember how old you guys were?
Yeah, I was about 3, and my brother was, I think, 6 whenever we got it. And so it had training wheels on it for a while for me to be able to ride it. And then, like, I would just hold on to him while we rode. And then that's when I started, like, figuring out balancing and
yeah.
And then, so like, I got fast tracked on a lot of stuff because I had an older brother. So it was like, do or die. If you want to ride this thing, it can't have training wheels no more. You got to ride it like me.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah,
So most people are going to understand that and say, oh, well, I started riding at this age. But the thing that I think is most important about that means that he was, let's just say 3 or 4 years old, learning how to work.
Yeah,
on
for sure.
a motorcycle.
No
like
kidding.
that creates a lot of value for you. Does your brother do any side-by-side stuff now, or does he hang out with you guys and go?
Actually, he's had a couple of side-by-sides and he rides with us. He mainly uses his stuff for hunting. So my family is also really big in hunting. So his side-by-sides he uses for hunting. But what's crazy is he's raced 2 or 3 times, like just showed up to the races with me and we had a spare one and put him in it. And for whatever reason, dude, he has got a freaking knack for side-by-side racing. And now my dad at 59 years old, he just won a championship in Texas in a side-by-side in short course racing last year. It's just, I don't know if it was bred into us or like we've got good vision or something. I don't know what it is, but my dad just won that championship last year. He's on track to win another championship this year in Texas.
No shit. Is that Texplex place?
Yeah, it's at Texplex.
Dude, I want to go there. I was talking to a couple people at the last Works race. That place looks and sounds amazing.
Dude, Texplex, the Billy Champion and those guys out at that place, unbelievable. Amenities, park, like everything is freaking unreal about that place, dude. It's like a dream park. It's right now because it's new, getting kicked off. It's the best known. I mean, it's the best park that not enough people know about right now. It is absolutely incredible.
So you went over there too?
You want to come down? Huh?
You went over there too then?
I ran an undefeated season last year at Texplex and won the pro class.
Dude, I didn't even know that. That's so cool. Was it
Yeah. I won the championship.
I didn't hear you. You won the championship?
Yeah, I won the championship out there last year with an undefeated season. So we run 2 races a day, like a heat and a feature.
Yeah.
And I won every race the whole year. And so, and Billy and those guys are awesome. Anytime you want to come out there, it's really close to, it's right outside of Dallas. So we can pick you up at Dallas. I'll bring you a car. Anytime you want to come out there, let me know.
Dude, that would be super duper cool. How far is it from you guys?
Like 3 hours.
Oh, that's not bad at all. Yeah, I would love to go out there. And Kenny Mash always has videos of going out to that place too. So it would be cool to see Kenny.
Place is incredible.
Dude, is this like super motocrossy too, like with like jumps and flow?
No. They know how to cut a track. So they use one of the guys from Torn, Curtis from Torn, and he cuts the tracks in, and they jump really good. But yes, a bunch of jumps, a bunch of super steep berms, whoop sections. Then you get back into the back. That's a little bit of a woods section, man. It's an amazing differentiation of terrain for sure.
Dude, I would be so into that. We'll have to talk more about it and see when some of this shit calms down a little bit. Well, so growing up with an older brother, that obviously was pretty cool. And since he's a wheelman himself, it was probably cool for you to learn some stuff with him. Did you guys kind of just play in the dirt up until, you were 18, able to move out of the house kind of thing, or what?
Yeah, absolutely, man. And for sure, having an older brother, man, it teaches you how to fight. It teaches you how to drive. And it kind of fast tracks you on learning about girls and stuff like that. So it was cool. It was cool having an older brother. So that helped me out a lot. And, our family are kind of all alphas. So there's always a power struggle there, but it always pushes you to be better and stronger and faster and all that stuff. But yeah, for sure. We played outside. I remember now I completely forgot about this, but the way we learned to drive, whenever I was probably 10 and I think my brother was 12 or 13, my dad got us a all-wheel drive Subaru hatchback car with a manual transmission. And so we swapped it out for mud tires. Did you have one?
We had one of those, yeah. Go ahead, sorry.
Dude, no, dude. We swapped it out with mud tires, and that's where we learned to drive a manual. That's where we learned to drive in general. That's what we hunted out of.
Yep.
That's what we went fishing in. That's what we used. because where we grew up, man, was super back roads. So like from a very young age, we were running back and forth to Texas state line. It was only like 5 or 6 miles from our house. So like we stayed running the roads, learning to drive and all that stuff.
That sounds so familiar too, because I learned what to drive when I was 10 too. It's not like I think living far out in the country, I think the legal driving age is probably around 10.
Yeah. Yeah, we did the same
thing. I
thing.
think it's legal then.
I think as long as we were home by dark,
we were good.
It didn't matter.
That was like
keys. Here you go.
I mean, you always had to be nice to everybody, but like that was the number one rule. If you get home before dark or you hear your mom whistle, you better get your ass back to the house.
Yeah.
You know, we were talking. Me and a couple of buddies were talking the other day. I remember leaving home like when we were young. I don't know, 10, 11, 12, leaving home on our four-wheelers. And we would never stop for lunch. We never came home. We never put gas in them. Like, what was my mom thinking? Like, she just let us go.
Yeah, ours were the same. And how many times I remember going, you know, you learn that rule of reserve. Remember reserve on the tank of the quad? Or the
you have this much time left.
Yeah. Shoot, I can get this much more. We can do 3 more laps. I can still get home. I remember that. And then you figure out, what are we going to do? How do I get gas out of yours to get it into mine? So
just in case.
Yeah. All these lessons learned.
Dude, those trail fixes keep it going.
Yep.
Yeah, the guys from Solder Weld also have a nice trail fix kit too. Have you run?
Yeah.
Have you run one of those yet?
Tell me what you said. I couldn't hear you.
The guys from Solder Weld have a nice off-road repair kit that's a trail fix too.
Oh yeah, those dudes are awesome people, man. I love those guys. Super cool. They were at a lot of the events, man. I love running those guys. Great people, and for sure they have some cool stuff.
Yeah, they have a really cool kit that you can bond metal or fix radiators, bond metal, do all kinds of fun stuff with. Man, they're really fun stuff to. And actually, like, it was fun for him to just show me how to work with it. All right, so you guys were homeschooled, like you said, all the way through high school or up until high school?
All the way up until high school. At high school, they put us in a public school, so that's when like sports and started doing that sort of thing. And so worked well for me again. My brother was a senior when I came in for my freshman year, so obviously with homeschooling, like, you don't have much social interaction. And so it's a little bit of a struggle when you go into public school from homeschooling all of your life and growing up on a farm. And so it was probably a little harder for my older brother, but he made the way for me to where when I came into high school, it was a little easier. Everybody kind of knew who I was because of him. And so, yeah, into high school, started baseball and football and all that stuff. And so,
was that like
pretty,
like starting like with baseball and like the stick and ball sports and stuff? Was that an eye opener to say, well, I really like actually doing stuff with a steering wheel and a motor kind of thing? Or was that like, oh shit, like I want to do stick and ball stuff?
No, you know, my grandpa was a really, really talented ball player. He set a bunch of records in Louisiana in baseball and football and boxing. And so he always kind of had me around sports and taught me, like, out in the yard how to do everything. And so I guess it was more my competitive nature. So at that time, the only thing I knew to compete in was baseball and football and things like that. That was my opportunity to compete in something. Around Louisiana, you don't really have motocross. You didn't have short course racing. You didn't have any kind of racing really around Louisiana. It was dirt track racing was about the only thing. And so baseball, stick and ball sports, and then football, that was my opportunity to compete whenever I got into school. So, like, that was my first taste of, like, really pushing myself and trying to do well. So, you know, played shortstop and tried to be the best on the team, batted, clean up and stuff.
That lays down a good a framework, though, for hand-eye coordination because, you know, like Justin from Shock Therapy, I don't know if you were listening, but he was talking about he thinks that you can see through dust, like you have some sort of X-ray vision or something. But some of those things, like those little things that you may not know, like what he said, like he learned that hand-eye coordination pretty easily, you know what I mean? Like when he did those sports, that has a lot to do with the way that you have stuff now.
And in that, tied to that, the way my grandpa taught me to hit a baseball, because a baseball is, you can palm it and your bat is plenty of girth. He would make me take a broom handle and pick up rocks and toss the rocks up. And I would have to stand out in the driveway hours at a time and hit one rock at a time with a broom handle. And so that taught you some hand-eye coordination, because if you could hit a rock with a broom handle, you for sure could hit a baseball with a bat.
Yeah.
So that's one of the things that I was thinking about, like the guys that grow up or are racing woods, like racing woods on a quad or racing woods on a dirt bike. I feel like, or even in a side-by-side, I feel like those guys have a distinct hand-eye coordination advantage against like guys like us out here on the West Coast, right? Growing up riding dunes and things like that, because you have to be so precise when you're pointing a side-by-side through trees compared to like going over a dune.
You're so right about that, man. And that's why the Miller brothers, Cody and Hunter Miller, which we build their chassis and all their cars and stuff, a lot of their parts. That's why, they do so well it works, is because they come from where we come from. They're just a few hours from us, and they grew up racing in the woods. And when you're buzzing pine trees at 50 and 60 miles an hour, and the margin for error is super slim, to run blind in the dust is not so bad. And so you have a little wiggle room there where in running in the dust where we're at, you cannot get one tire off the track or a corner of the car is torn off.
Yeah, that's really true. Yeah, so see, those little like hand-eye coordination things make a big difference. Mm-hmm. I bet you that the Miller brothers, they grew up playing baseball too. They probably had a grandpa that taught them how to hit rocks with a stick too.
Yeah, sure. That's really common down here for sure.
we used to do that too, because we didn't really have baseball and stuff, so we used to do the same kind of shit over here too.
As long as it wasn't at each other, right?
And to make do.
Well, so then what came next, man? Like, so you obviously graduated high school and hung out with your brother and stuff like that. But what was the next step in life?
Actually, the next big step, obviously, was going to college for me. So I went to college straight out of high school. A lot of people don't realize it, but I got a mechanical engineering degree from a university here in Louisiana. Yeah. And so as dumb as my Southern drawl sounds, as dumb as I act, I actually graduated top 20% of my class in mechanical engineering.
Dude, high five, so, virtual high five, man. That's awesome.
Boom. It wasn't because I was smart. It wasn't because I had photographic memory. It's because I was willing to work hard enough. I had set my goal that I knew that point in my life when a lot of my buddies were partying and out having a good time and enjoying college, I knew I was creating my future right then. And so I had made up my mind. It was no choice except to study, make the grades, and get finished. And so I had to memorize, I had to learn, and I had to get there. And the only way to do it was to earn it. Dude, they're not giving out those degrees.
And take it one credit at a time.
Yep.
Just like your 44 passes in the dust.
Exactly.
Yep. There's a lot to learn from that, though.
So awesome.
That mentality teaches you a lot. And I know, like I said before, the kids that are watching the show and have watched the show before, they are starting to learn those things, and they're starting to go through the same process that Dustin did. I kind of did the same thing, too. I got hurt, back in the day. And when I didn't know what else I was going to do, I went back to college, and I got a computer science degree, which most racers don't know that. But, so it's crazy. Like, we're going to do a show on Casey, and we're going to do a show on me one of these days, too, because there's a lot of stuff like what we're figuring out from you that people just don't ask questions when you're at the races, man. So it's neat to see you behind the scenes.
Yeah, for sure.
Well, so what happened with that degree then? Did you just throw it in the trash and then say, I'm going to go race side-by-sides?
No, I went and had a normal life for a little while. So, straight out of college, I went to work for a mechanical engineering firm and did that thing for a while. And actually, right at the end of my college career and when I went into the workforce is when I started my cage fighting career.
Uh-oh. This is something I don't know about, so I'm excited to hear this.
Not many people do, man. I don't bring it up that often, to be honest with you. I kind of try to be a sleeper in case something breaks out at the races. Like I make sure I can handle myself and nobody suspects me. They're like, man, Dustin's a nice guy. Like, you don't have to worry about him. Don't even keep your eye on him. That's what I want people to do.
Did you have to register your hands?
Nah. I did that for about 3 years straight, 5 days a week, 3 hours a night. I would leave my job, go to the gym, all the time. And so even when I was training at that, like, if one thing that I can tell you, I know this is jumping back whenever the guys that come to watch you are asking about sponsorship. There's one thing that I can tell you is you have to offer the whole package. You have to be aware of what people want to see and give the people what they want. So MMA was just coming on super strong, and like UFC was getting super popular. And I knew from watching it, from listening to my buddies, people want to see the knockout. And so when I started training MMA, I train super hard and focused in Muay Thai because I know people show up to the fights because they want to see somebody's head get kicked off. And so that's what I focus on. Everything else I did was for defense, to get back up to my feet and kick somebody's head off.
How gnarly was all that training and stuff? It looks so crazy to me.
I did it. It's brutal, but I did it for the art of it. I didn't get in there head down banging with people, getting beat up all the time. Like, I did it because for me, and it's the same thing for racing. At the time, fighting somebody was literally the purest form of competition. It's 1 versus 1. You can't blame it on your teammate for dropping a pass. You can't blame it on your pitcher for walking too many guys. It's you versus one guy, and you have to win that fight. And there's no excuses except what was your training and how much work were you willing to put in. And so moving forward, that's how racing is to me. I'm literally in a fist fight with every individual person on that track. And now it's the purest form of competition for me. Racing is the purest form of competition. It's 1v1, one step at a time. Starting in 44th, it was 1v1 until I made my way to the front.
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense. And you know what he learned, though, because I can tell, like I think I can read between the lines here, is that he trains for the knockout because that's what everybody wants to see, right? So he shows up to the races with cool cars, and he shows up with a professional attitude. That's the knockout punch for the sponsors and stuff, right? But he goes in to the fight, we'll call it, out a race, with a very stable mindset that he's going to last the whole time because he needs to. And then every single time he throws a punch, whether it lands or not, he makes it valuable so that the next one counts too, you know? Right. Like, so he's real strategic.
No doubt.
That's a really good analogy, but for sure. And unknowingly, and listening to you say that, I really like that. But that probably is why I attack the things like I do.
So you probably didn't even think about it. Like, well, obviously you didn't think you were going to be a professional side-by-side racer when you were fighting the MMA stuff, but man, that laid down some pretty cool groundwork for the rest of the things that you had coming up. And then where'd you go from there?
So from there is whenever, that was in a time when I was working a normal job at a mechanical engineering firm. And so still at that time, I was broke college kid, straight out of college, just trying to earn some money, living home with mom and dad. And so I was still going to mud rides all the time because that's just what we always did growing up. And that's still big down here is monthly mud rides at different people's property, or they have some big mud parks over in Texas. And so we would hit those all the time. Well, I was going to a mud ride with my brother. His boss was brothers with a gentleman named Malcolm Sneed, but he goes by Mal, and he owned S3 Pump Service Company. And so he and I kind of met at one of the mud rides. We both liked to mud ride together. It was mutual things that we enjoyed. I was a broke college kid. He had an oil field pump service company that was doing just phenomenal. And so he had, in 2009, right when the Razor S came out, he went and bought one of those. And it was brand spanking new, and he had the money to go buy and order whatever parts he wanted. And so I would leave my work, come up to his shop, help him put on parts, because I'd learned that whenever I was younger from my dad. Yeah. My dad taught me how to do that stuff. So I would help him put on all these new, latest, and greatest parts that I thought were so cool, but I couldn't afford. And then we would go riding the weekend. So after several months of that, he called me one day when I was leaving work. He's like, "Hey, why don't you swing by the shop real quick? I want to talk to you about something." And so I showed up over there, man, and we got to chat. And he was like, "Look, I think I want to start ATV off-road business that I want you to take care of my cars, make sure I'm in the latest and greatest and coolest, and then, like, sell some parts on the side and, like, pay for yourself, and let's just have a good time with it." And so that is how S3 Powersports started, is me just taking care of him, making sure his bikes were always running. When I say bikes, I mean his UTVs, ATVs, and selling a little parts on the side to pay for myself. But the ebb and flow of oil, I knew that couldn't last. I knew we really had to do something with it if I wanted to sustain that as a job over a long period of time. And so that's whenever I thank my dad to this day, because I knew to grind, and the only way to get there was to earn my way. Mr. Mal gave me the opportunity and helped get everything started, but I had to grind and build that if I wanted to sustain that for a career.
That's so meaningful too, because there's a lot of people that will look at it like these days. Obviously, S3 is a very, very successful, awesome company and make fantastic products and stuff, but it didn't start like that. You know what I mean? And it's the same guy that asks, how do you get sponsored by Monster Energy? How do you get sponsored by Rockstar? That'll go in there and say, oh, S3 has always been this. They just work there, and they're the cool guys now. You know what I mean?
Yep.
But to hear the actual way that it was birthed, and that is so freaking – I didn't know that, dude. That's awesome to hear. You still with us, Dustin? Looks like we got a poor connection. It might be on our end over here. I'm going to let it go and see if it comes back. Come on.
I got you.
Okay.
I got you.
Sweet.
Sorry about that.
No worries.
Oh, good.
It looks like we're having a little bit of internet service provider issues over here, but let's keep going so that we can keep the audio moving. So I think that's fantastic, man. I think that is so cool that you guys went through and birthed it from such a little thing now. And now S3 is a pretty big company. You guys make some pretty cool products and stuff now, huh?
Yeah, man, we've been super fortunate to get into, everything from all the Polaris stuff that we started with, and we still build tons and tons of Polaris parts, man. And then we got in bed with Can-Am and started making Can-Am parts and production stuff that they offer through their catalogs and building turnkey race cars. So, man, it was one thing after another, and it was meeting those little goals one at a time. So originally it was selling parts, and then we decided we wanted to build our own parts, and so we got some fabricators in here and did that for a couple of years, and then we wanted to start the race team and then start building turnkey race cars, and so, man, it's just gone snowballed. So I always tell people in business, you're either declining or inclining. You can never stay the same, because if you're out there and you think you're going to stay the same, there's going to be companies like me that are willing to work for it that will pass you up and steal your market share.
Right.
And so it's about, for us, never stopping, trying to do the next best thing, trying to be one step ahead of everybody else, just like with the Visions of Victory videos, like doing video production and just keeping it moving,
Yeah, so we can talk about that too real quick. So Dustin does, I don't know if you've ever seen it, but you should definitely check him out. Dustin does a show with Can-Am called Visions of Victory, and it really, now I can understand why it's called Visions of Victory, because the things and the way that Dustin thinks in his brain is very, very similar to the way that they set up the show, and obviously the name too. But they do everything from, going out and just having a good time all the way up to following them through the Mint 400 or UTV World Championship for victories. It's a pretty cool show, and they have it on YouTube, so you can look up Visions of Victory on YouTube and or S3 Powersports on YouTube and go and check them out. You guys will have a good time, especially in quarantine. If you guys need some stuff to watch, it is really, really cool. And every time I get done watching the videos, I'm like, damn it, I gotta get outside and go do stuff.
That's awesome.
Every time, man.
You probably get all amped up even seeing yourself too.
That's the funnest part, honestly, because we relive it. It's probably better for us because we did it, and then we get to watch it. And so, we get together as a group, man, and, we watch it at the house as a whole group again. And so to relive it, it's like the three-wheeler picture that you and I talked about. It triggers stuff, and you're like, oh, man, I remember that.
Yeah. So cool.
Man, so it's a different experience for us. I always wonder, are people watching these? Do they even care because they're so emotionally wrapped up for us that we enjoy them? But to hear people say that they watch them and they enjoy them, man, it obviously makes it worth it for us.
Yeah, it's the same way I think, too, with the show. Is sometimes I'll get down on myself and I'll be like, dude, nobody's watching this thing. It's too little of a show. Offroad is so small. But then I get a few people that'll chime in, even just one dude, and just be like, dude, I love last night was awesome. And it's just yeah, that's a huge win. It was worth all the work.
For sure.
That's exactly what I was talking about earlier, man. If you get, and it started that way with me, one private message that triggered me, when you get down on yourself or you're you don't accomplish something, one private message that you made an impact on me, or somebody sending you a message to that effect, you had a positive impact, then that was your victory.
Absolutely.
And so it keeps you going. It keeps the fire fed when it's passing one car at a time. It keeps the fire fed all the time, man.
Oh, speaking of being fed, so I showed, I didn't show Casey the picture, but I was going to show him, but I told him, so we have javelinas out here in Arizona, right?
Yeah.
And you sent me a picture. Yeah. How was the bacon, dude?
Dude, did you see that hog? That thing was a monster.
So I think either Dustin or myself should post a picture of this hog that he got the other day. This thing was mad. I mean, dude, it barely fit on the tailgate of the. I don't even think they could have pushed it in long ways into the back of the truck. It was so huge.
Yikes.
No, we had to get a forklift to put that thing in the truck. But those things are probably like there. They run wild, but here they're just enormous. I don't know if they're crossbreeding, if they're inbreeding. I don't know what they're doing, but they are enormous.
How many pounds was that hog?
That one was probably 200 or 250. So
holy crap, dude!
We call it the Casey size hog. You know what I mean? About 200, 220 maybe. I'm just guessing.
Jeez, man. Lucretia chimed in and said, "Yep, we love Mr. Mal. He's the best."
For sure, he's good people, man. Real good people.
Yeah.
So is Lucretia, man. I love her. She's an awesome racer too, man.
Yeah, she's great, man. We've we spent some time up with them in Lake Havasu and stuff like that. She's actually going to be on the show, I think, in 2 weeks, maybe. So it'll be good to have her on the show too. We actually plan to have a live show with her so that she could come down to the studio and hang out with us and eat some tacos and stuff. But I don't think it's going to happen with being live. We might have to do a FaceTime with her too.
Yeah, she just put a great video out. She's an awesome racer, man. She has a cool story, and especially with what just happened to them recently and them rebuilding right before the event. Like, man, that's a setback, dude, that will make you hang up racing, you know, especially when you don't have a great amount of success over a little bit of time. Like, you look for an excuse sometimes, or a lot of people look for an excuse to be out.
Yeah, and they did.
So she rebuilt their car, man. They came back.
Yeah, exactly. One of the coolest parts about that is there was so many people willing to help, and we were just a small part of what they did. But they came down to Tucson, and we were able to supply them with some, maybe some fabrication stuff. We gave them a whole bunch of extra parts, and we just gave them as much of stuff that we could. So Trevor and Eric loaded up the trailer and got back to work. Man, it was pretty cool to see that. And obviously, they're a fantastic family, so we'd love to help people like them no matter what. Well, so. How did you even get into the mudding thing then? That was what your dad was doing, or your brother? Or?
No, actually, you know what's crazy is we were at a campfire in Glamis, of all places. Me, Mr. Mal, and Shane Dowden, which would eventually become my co-driver in Best of the Desert. And so the business was just kind of getting rolling. Like, we were hitting all these mud rides and helping people out and selling parts and fixing vehicles at the mud ride. Then they would bring it to our shop, and like we would fix things. So like, we were starting to see that snowball. We were starting to get things rolling. And so we were all hanging around the campfire one night in Glamis. And Shane was a buddy of mine. He's a great engine builder, builds high-performance motors, and now he does diesel tuning, but great engine builder. And so he was building Can-Am motors at that time, Can-Am ATV motors, and he was mud racing. And him and Mr. Mal got to drinking some moonshine, some apple pie moonshine or something. So Shane talked Mr. Mal into starting a race team, and Mr. Mal was trying to sell it to me, but I got so freaking mad because I thought racing was the biggest waste of money. There's no way we should put any of our money from our business into a race program to try to get anything wrapped up, get anything rolling. I was so against it, man. And then Mr. Mal and Shane broke me down to where we were like, all right, Shane's going to be our first racer. Let's let him do some things and get that mud racing rolling. And then after about a half a season, I decided I wanted to get in and try it. And so we built a side-by-side, a really well-known side-by-side on YouTube. Actually, it was from several years ago. It's a nitrous razor called Tropicana.
Oh, cool.
And I called it Tropicana because I told everybody I ran in more juice than Tropicana in that thing. And so it would literally ride wheelies off the line. And so that really put us on the map in mud racing. That video got 1 million views or something crazy. And so that put us on the map in mud racing. And then Shane and I went on the next year to win like 6 championships in multiple different genres multiple different race series of mud racing. We were traveling all over the country. hitting all these mud races, and we won between the two of us like 6 championships.
Dude, I never knew any of that. That's so cool.
Yeah, that's awesome. It's like a whole
so that's where we really got our racing started off. That's where we really got our racing started off, is in mud racing. And he and I would go out there, man, and just we were really, the cars were set up good. We spent a lot of time working on them. We spent every night tuning them, and man, we did really, really well in mud racing. And that's where we caught hands out.
Yeah, that's cool, man. One of the things that I was making sure that the reason I wore this shirt today is because we have a project that we built a Yamaha WAG-Z called the Unicorn. But one of the things I was telling Casey to make sure that he reminds me, but I just remembered myself, you had Tropicana, and then you usually name all the builds or the race cars that you have, right?
Yeah, I usually do, man. Most of them.
Let's hear a couple of the names that you got.
Man, probably some of the most popular ones that I built is Tropicana, for sure put us on the map. Like, really, really well known. A few years later, for Destination Polaris, we built an orange and silver Razor, this super low drop cage, really sweet car that we called Showstopper. So that one was pretty well known. That one did really well. It was right when the 1000s came out. We built that Defender that I drive around in the mud right now, low blow, which is super drop cage, like 37-inch tractor.
Oh, that's
tires,
the one I showed you,
yeah. Yeah, it's the maroon and silver one. 22-inch wheels, 37-inch tractor tires, one of our 8-inch suspensions, like front and rear winches, chop cage, custom interior, like it's bad to the bone.
Those things have gear reduction too?
Yeah, that's typically what everybody does in them when you put those big tires, is do the gear reductions or portals or something like that to just gear down a little bit. But we're averaging 15 miles an hour when we're out mud riding, so it doesn't matter. You can gear down as low as you want,
Oh, okay, cool. Yeah.
And so go ahead.
I was just wondering what some of the other names were.
I built, we built one right after that was Lobo 2. So we built a 4-seater, inverted the colors, built it almost the same, just a long bed one. And so had that one. And then the short course car that I won the world championships in, and the one that I won that Texas short course series in last year, was Pigpen.
So, how come you get into that? That's hilarious.
Dude, it was absolutely disgusting. So when I built it for the World Championships, I guess 2 years ago when I won it, we threw it together literally the week before. So we just welded the cage to chassis, left it bare, and I swore when I get it home I was going to tear the whole car down, repowder coat everything, and put it back together. When we won the World Championships, parked it under the awning right after the race, didn't drive it again for like 6 months, so it was covered in rust and like looked terrible. The door panel didn't fit right because we didn't have time to mess with it. Like, the body panels were just kind of hung on there and like self-tapping screws. It was disgusting, but the car was so freaking fast. And that's the one, like I said, I won the World Championships in, the one that I won the short course championship in, but it was literally the ugliest car I've ever built. And so it kind of got a name for itself, because when we show up to races, people are like, man, that's what Dustin Jones racing, that car?
It sounds like the perfect parallel to those nobody knows about those fists of yours either, right? It's a perfect parallel.
Just like that. Like, it's really unsuspecting.
Right.
Like, nobody thought anything about it until they had to race it. You know what I mean?
That's awesome.
Dude, if they ever had like side-by-side street drag racing, Dustin could bring Pigpen out there and be the total sleeper.
Yeah.
Start winning a whole bunch of money, taking pink slips all night.
But that was probably one of my really well-known cars because we won the World Championships in that car, and it was so freaking ugly, man. It was just a funny car, rolling it through the Tech at World Championships. People were like, what on earth is this thing? But I was just laughing inside because the car was stupid fast.
Did you have some tech screws in your pocket just in case?
Yeah, for sure. Duct tape. We kept duct taping zip ties. The thing was disgusting, dude. It was held together with that.
Yeah, I remember it was fast, though. I never got to see him on track because he was so far ahead of me. But I remember seeing video after the race that he was coming down the straightaway by the pit road or whatever, and somebody caught it on their cell phone. And he was probably going at least 15 miles an hour faster than most of the other cars.
Nice.
Like, that thing was wicked.
Dude, that car was just slapped together literally the week before the World Championships. And what's funny is when we got it home and I finally prepped the car and I took some things apart, it literally would not have made it a half more lap than Laughlin. It would have fell apart. 100% for sure. It was not going to make it another half lap, but it just made it long enough to win the World Championship.
Perfect.
When it's your weekend, it's your weekend.
That's like those NASCAR dudes with qualifying motors, man.
That's what's so cool about when you look back at a race, right? You got the big trophy and everything's cool, but then all these things that go back to it, like pig pin, tech screws, so on and so forth. How many late nights, that's why you couldn't finish the door panel or whatever. All those stories make that thing not as cool. Like the story is the best part about it.
There's never a perfect race weekend.
Sure.
Yeah, right, exactly. So cool.
Well, we got to see some of the cars. I got to hang out with you a little bit, maybe for 45 minutes or so at the last UTV World Championship. And I had never seen any of the stuff that you guys built because you guys are so far away from us. But when I got to see the craftsmanship, the quality of work that you guys did, obviously that your whole team put together at the shop, I was pretty amazed at some of the ideas that you came up with, because those are my favorite part, is the ideas. There's a lot of guys that can weld, but the ideas, the way that they built the cars, the things that they had in their mind, I was pretty amazed at the creativity and the badassness of the vehicle that ended up that I was looking at. It was pretty, because most of the guys don't put anywhere near that amount of thought or effort into it. It was cool, man.
That's awesome. Not surprised.
You know what I think works well for us is where we're at. We really have an untainted view of how things work. So we have a different perspective than out west, because we don't really see what everybody else's cars look like. Mm-hmm. Like we built a lot of Jeeps for our personal vehicles, and so functionality is really, really important. So it really boils down to keep it as simple as possible, make sure it's functional, and I'll tie a couple of things together. So in my car, it's more focused on if something goes wrong, how easy is it to fix the car? Mm-hmm. And so Justin talking about running in the dust. So a lot of the young racers that I talk to, or I mentor, or I train, even where we're at, and they're like, I don't understand, how are you putting down those lap times in the dust like that? And it's because when we take sight laps and we take practice laps, I don't focus on what it's going to be like in clean air. I literally will count trees when I'm driving down a trail, and I'll remember okay, this tree is on the inside corner of the track. There's a long straightaway after this tree, because I plan on running blind instead of planning on running in clean air. And so that's also has helped me in the desert, because say on the mid 400, whenever it's a sight lap, I teach people, don't focus on what's right in front of you, what you can see. You need to focus on, where am I at as far as elevation goes? What does the terrain around you look like? So I know if I get off track in some areas, I'm not going to hit any rocks. It's going to be bushes, and I can freaking blow through it. So I'm not super worried about it. And then there's certain areas where I realize, okay, we're going down into a wash. It's going to be really rocky because water has ran through here. And I know there's exposed rocks. If I see trees or greenery coming across the track when I'm running 100 miles an hour, I realize there's going to be a wash here because there was water running through here because there's green.
That's why it's green, right? Yeah, very observant. That's awesome.
And so I tell everybody, I'm not faster than a lot of guys because I drive harder and I throw my car in. It's because everybody can be fast in a straight line. I always win races on the parts where everybody wants to go slow. So in the dust, I try to be a little bit faster than everybody else. But the only way I can't see visually better than anybody else, but I race different than everybody else. I race a little smarter by looking off the track and being like, oh, I can be fast right here and no chance of tearing anything up because there's no exposed rocks, there's no trees, there's no big burns or anything.
Right. It's that 360-degree approach to the program. Same way, like in our industry, we take safety. So it's not just what you're looking at; it's what are you gonna not see that's obvious or that's not as obvious. So
for sure,
that's awesome.
Yeah, it makes a big difference
for sure.
too. He has that same approach in business and obviously mechanical engineering, because the mechanical engineer doesn't just see one little part; they have to see the whole thing at the end of the. So that makes a huge difference. That's cool that you look at stuff like that. I don't give away your secrets though, dude.
Yeah, I don't mind. I'm glad to help anybody.
You know, that actually brings up a good point. I don't mean to interrupt you, but you were a huge help in, I built a race Can-Am for a guy out here. His name's Brian Forrester, that was doing some short course stuff. And I remember texting you being like, I don't know, I'm just going to throw out a line here and see if Dustin would be down to help us. So I messaged him on Instagram and I said, dude, like, we don't know what we're doing, man. Like, I know how to build a race car. I don't know how to build a good one. I don't know how to build, like, we're just going to throw it all at it and see what happens. And he goes, dude, I did the exact same thing. I'm happy to help you. Like, I'm right here. Anytime you need me, just let me know. And the car turned out amazing, just because 90% of it was because of his knowledge and the way that he had been open to helping us.
That's awesome.
And at the end of the day, like, when I was fighting, whenever I'm racing, I want to beat somebody on their very best day. Like, when they cross that line, I want them to know in their mind, I had nothing else. I literally laid it out there and Dustin beat me anyways. So if I can help somebody be their fastest, I still want to be their fastest. You know what I mean?
Dude, that's exactly the way I was in the short course stuff with the Yamahas. Like, I only knew what I know because I went through the process. Like, I didn't know shit when I started. But everybody else was so, like, secretive of everything. Or they would tell you something, but it was a complete lie so that they could get you, like, to beat them. And I was like, why is everybody like this? This is not how it should be. And I helped everybody as much as I could, man, because all I cared about was having a battle. That's all I cared about.
It's so funny how the racing industry is kind of like that to some extent, and guys like yourself are taking a whole different approach. Have you read 2 Second Lean by chance? If you haven't, it's a life changer, I promise you. And it's really quick. A condensed version is, here's somebody that's doing manufacturing and they're the best at it, and they want people to come, other business, to come look at it because they're helping them be their best, but at the same time they're already way past that, if you know what I mean. So they're an open book because, just like you said, we want you to be the best so we can continue to beat you as us the best, because we're already a couple steps ahead of you.
I want to read that.
It's really good. You'll love it.
I need to read that, but it goes back to like that pure form of competition like I talked about. So whenever I was fighting MMA and I was able to get to a certain point in my gym where I really could beat pretty well everybody in the gym, that wasn't cool to me. Like, it didn't make me feel good to be able to beat everybody that I trained with. So we would bring people in from Dallas, from South Louisiana, pro fighters that would murder me. But I knew in the back of my mind, if I was fighting people better than me, I was going to get better.
Right.
And so I see it in racing all the time. People are like, man, there's no way we can catch him. I don't know why he's so fast. I am the one that's going to catch those guys and beat those guys because I will figure out a way to outrun them.
That's so cool, man. I love that mentality so much. That's not just because, like, the racing thing I get, like, but the mentality that he has, because that's the way the dude lives every day in his life, man. Yep. Like, that is so freaking cool. Well, so we kind of, like, we can catch up to everything that we're talking about now. Like, a lot of people that know you from social media or know you from the races and things like that. Now, like, you know, they can catch up and see that you've obviously won the Min 400 and you've done very well in your off-road racing career, we'll call it. But you do a lot of stuff on the daily basis that has nothing to do with off-road racing, right?
Yes, certainly, man. Certainly. So, you know, I manage S3 Powersports over here and keep this place going. And it's the ins and outs. It's meeting with our designers regularly on what new parts we're going to do, what we're going to release. You know, working with steel suppliers and things like that to get parts in here. I literally, before I came and got on the call with you, took a phone call because all my guys have gone home for the night and took an order for a customer and processed that, because I tell everybody, whenever you come work for me, you're not above doing any job, because any given night you'll see me mopping the floors in the office, because I'm willing to do anything. So nobody that works with me is above a job. But yeah, for sure. I do the power sports, and that's my day-to-day job, being involved with that and keeping this place going and keeping it advancing. But also we own the race team that we keep up. We kind of keep that separate and keep it rolling. But then just recently we opened S3 Media, and so we're taking on a bunch of different projects from a bunch of different companies and putting out content for other people. And then outside of that, like you see, I try to keep up my social media stuff. So I'm just now getting into the breakover point where people are starting to call us to be ambassadors and influencers for other companies on my social media. So for me, man, it never stops. I think I sacrificed that normal life and wife and kids and like that kind of lifestyle for just this lifestyle instead, you know?
Yeah, it's definitely time consuming. I can relate to that for sure. Well, so since you mentioned the social media stuff, anybody that's watching that would like to connect with Dustin on social media or listening, you can hit him up on Instagram at Dustin Battleaxe Jones. And yeah, he's got some really, really cool stuff up there, man. He does, like he said, the Visions of Victory stuff. And then on a daily basis, he's always putting out something that makes people happy. So it's cool to see that stuff. Well, a couple more questions before we get into our rapid fire Q&A, which I think you're going to dig. What you got going on next, man? Like I mean, you're not going to be able to really tell us about 2020, but since you have some goals, I know you're like-minded. You want to make sure that you have stuff going on in the future.
Yeah, absolutely, man. So naturally there's a lot going on with Corona and stuff like that, which puts a damper on everything. You know, it's a tough time, and it's just making sure you squeak by and you prepared. It's no different than racing. Like, you make sure you prepare for the bad times because they're coming at some point. It's just like when I opened Powersports, I knew oil field was going to ebb and flow, so I had to earn my way. Well, same thing now. Like, we're in a slow time, but like it's a matter of keeping everything moving and like just getting back to where we're going. And so keeping a vision going, and like we're always bringing in new parts. We're just releasing all of our Pro XP parts. We're just releasing all of our Talon parts, and like just new parts all the time, man, and new stuff going on. One big thing that we haven't really announced yet is we're fixing to release our line of Jeep parts. And so parts for the Jeep Wranglers, the JKs, the JLs, bumpers, Nerf bars, like a whole line of our same designed winch bumpers, rock sliders, that kind of stuff for Jeeps. So we're just fixing to get into like the automotive industry really soon.
Yeah,
so,
I want to talk to you about that stuff offline, because I have some not only ideas but some stuff that we've been working on for the Dirt Life over here too that I think could really mesh good with that stuff.
Perfect.
That's a super cool route too, because
it's cool that it's going up and not down. Like you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So there's even a better one, like the overlanding stuff. Lance from Solderwell talked to me about it today, and they're always going up.
Yeah, there you go.
Always going up. So that's really cool for us, man. Besides that, naturally, we're getting close to signing our 2021 contracts. We've got stuff in the shop, man, that the world hasn't seen yet. So like that stuff, man. Fortunately, we get to be involved with vehicle testing and things like that. So, man, I've driven some things that are freaking crazy, dude, that are exciting, that are in the pipeline. So, man, we've been so blessed to be a part of that aspect of off-roading. That's not just a little shop that's building parts and getting people going. Like, we pushed till now we've become involved with vehicle testing before the world even knows about it.
That is super cool. And you know why? Like, he says he's blessed to do it, and obviously he is, but it's hard work too. That hard work is what got him to that point, man. So
well, and the foundation you guys built.
Yep.
You built it because you love it. It's obvious. It's not just a thing. It's you love it. This is your thing.
That's so cool. Well, like I said before, you can contact Dustin anytime you want on social media. Dustin Battleaxe Jones. Go give him a follow because he's a rad dude to follow. I definitely love seeing when he posts stuff. All right, you want to start doing this rapid? Casey started laughing when he saw the rapid fire Q&A questions.
Let me get in close on this so I can hear good and we get this going.
The only thing I'm missing.
Tell me.
The only thing I'm missing that we didn't cross off in the interview portion is the battle axe part.
Oh, yeah. Go ahead and ask him.
Yeah, so help us out. Where'd that come from? It's got to be cool.
That's from Cage Find. Basically, battle axe came from Cage Find from knocking people's heads off.
Okay, got it. Perfect.
People knew when they got in the ring with me, it was going to be a fight. And so, and they knew they were going to have to stand up and bang. And so, battle axe.
Well, those 44 guys at the Mint 400, they know that too.
Yeah, they definitely know it now.
Or at least 41 of them, right?
All right, you want me to start off with this rapid-fire Q&A?
Yeah, go for it.
All right. First question, rapid-fire Q&A. Dustin Battleaxe Jones, Corona or Pacifico?
Ooh, actually, crazy thing, I've never tasted alcohol in my life. Not whiskey, not wine, not beer, not anything. I've never tasted anything.
Awesome. Kudos.
Okay. Well, there you go. You're going to be Corona-free.
Barsha or Webb? Barsha or Webb?
Wait, say it again?
Barsha or Webb?
Justin Barsha or Cooper Webb?
Oh, man, your guess is better than mine. Wait, what?
And Justin Barsha or Cooper Webb in Supercross?
Oh, I mean, anything two wheels is a death trap for me. I try to stay away from even my pit bikes, dude. So no bueno for me. No Supercross for me.
All right. The next one is, what's your favorite food?
For sure, steak and potatoes.
Nice. Little Smokies or pizza rolls?
Pizza rolls every day. Microwave too. I want them kind of mushy and soggy. Pizza rolls every day in the microwave.
What do you dip them in?
Ranch? What else do you dip them in?
I was gonna say, because if you said ranch, that was a profile question right there. All right, what's your favorite soda?
Let's say Coke.
Daisy Dukes or Speedo?
Daisy Dukes all day, cuz those started life as blue jeans.
Oh, sweet. All right, what's your
Daisy Dukes? We call Daisy Dukes Geordie Jorts.
Nice.
Oh man, that's a good one. What's your most memorable race?
Mid 400 by far.
Favorite flavor of ice cream?
Strawberry.
Dang, you're going strawberry, huh? Just keeping it clean. Blonde or brunette?
Blonde all day. Can't help myself.
Dogs or cats?
Dogs for sure.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. Netflix or YouTube?
All YouTube all day.
Divisions of Victory. Don't forget.
Yep. Burrito or taco?
I know. And I get in them wormholes, and I'll watch videos for 4 or 5 hours and not even know what happened at the time.
Right.
Yeah.
Like,
dude,
what happened?
That happens so often, man. You can like, oh, this video is only 5 minutes. I'll be okay. Like, I'll get back to my next task. And then you're like, Dustin said 5 hours later, you're like, what the fuck?
You don't even realize where you are.
Where did all this time go?
Yeah.
Dude, for some reason I get into ghetto brawls and then races. I'll be watching ghetto brawls.
Okay, burrito or taco?
Burrito all day. I want diarrhea every time.
What burrito are you going for?
I'm going bean, straight beans, nothing else. Maybe a little salsa in it.
Oh, right on. That's kind of the same thing my mom likes. We had one of our guys, Josh Shorter from Thor MX, which makes gear and stuff. He's super into those California burritos. Have you ever had one of those?
Nope, but I want to.
Yeah, carne asada, guacamole,
French fries.
pico de gallo. Yeah, and then the kicker is they put potatoes or French fries on it.
Sounds like stomach ache. I'm down.
All right, Supercross or motocross? You said that you didn't like two wheels, but you got to pick one.
Supercross.
What other form of racing would you like to try?
Honestly, dude, I want to do some dirt track racing. We've been going lately just for the fun of it and just maybe it's the connection of the mullet and the jorts and stuff, but like those dudes out there are absolutely living life. Like to them, they are 100% NASCAR racers, and I appreciate how excited and how passionate they are. I want to go race dirt track with those guys.
I feel like it's blowing up too, because I've been seeing like a whole bunch more dirt track stuff happening in the last 6-8 month year than like the past 3-4 years.
For sure, it's huge down here, dude. Like it's getting bigger and bigger down here. I don't know how, but it is.
Yeah,
Look, naturally, as an off-road racer, sorry, go ahead.
Go ahead.
As an off-road racer, at some point, I want to drive a trophy truck. I would love to even start by co-driving a couple, but at some point, I want to drive a trophy truck in a race. But if you're just like, hey, dude, if you wanted to go do something this weekend, what would you do? It'd be dirt track. For sure.
Love it.
Dude, the whole trophy truck thing, I definitely agree with them. Like, who wouldn't want to drive a trophy truck, right? But
yeah,
I would feel like I would get in there and I'd be like, dude, I'm not going to give it gas. I don't want to fuck this thing up. Like, because if you break it, like that whole thing that your dad taught you when you were little, you break it, you bought it, like that would scare the living piss out of me in a trophy truck.
Right, like getting in the cockpit of like a freaking F1 something or other.
Yeah,
like or a jet. It's more like a jet. Like if I hit the wrong thing, we're all going to die.
Yeah.
Like, that's what it feels like.
I think it would be super cool to ride one of those. What about a monster truck? I kind of want to drive a monster truck.
Yeah, that sounds cool.
Dude, I would grave digger every weekend if I could, for sure. Actually, we got a lot of big trucks around here, like big tires, big mud trucks. So that's okay to me. But I will grave digger somebody quick.
Have you seen like Todd LeDuc send it in that Monster Energy truck that he's got?
Bruh, he sends it to the moon when he sends it, cuz.
I still don't like the biggest question I have that I've asked a few people. How the fuck does he not break his back? Like he lands so hard.
Yeah, that's insane. It must be
good seats, I guess. I know a lot of those dudes have like 18-wheeler, those
airbags,
suspension seats like you have in a big truck.
Yep.
And I know some of the guys that did big jumps and stuff like that a few years back had were standing up when they were driving.
Oh, dang, that's crazy.
Yeah.
And they were telling me they were telling me too that the bottom is like plexiglass so you can see through it.
See through it, right?
Yeah. It's for when you wheelie and stuff, you can look down and see where you're going.
Dude. That's kind of why I want to drive one, just because I think it'd be fun. Plus, I'd be less scared of breaking it.
Yeah.
All right, dude. Final question. Final question of the night, so we can let you go home and get some sleep. Chips and guacamole or French fries and ketchup?
Say it again. You cut out for a second.
Last question of the night, man. Chips and guacamole or French fries and ketchup?
French fries and ketchup all day long, and I want the soggy, salty ones from McDonald's, because when they get soggy, they always hold more salt.
Nice.
Casey's down with the salt too, man. Well, we really appreciate it, man. You did a fantastic job tonight. It's always good talking to you. You're a fantastic human being, and we really appreciate it. We learned so much about you tonight. I can't wait to have some people chime in and let us know what they think as well, dude. You did amazing at the races. You've been a good human being, and we really appreciate it.
Thank you so much, man. I greatly appreciate the opportunity. I'm sorry if I got long-winded during this thing, but I'm excited to talk to you guys, man, and I'm thankful that you guys invited me on here.
Yeah, the passion just oozes out.
Dude,
that's what's so cool about it.
Yeah.
It's real.
Exactly.
Love it.
We started this show because we wanted to hear most people's stories, right? Casey and I and Cody, who helped start the show, we talk about the show every night after we finish. And every single time the show changes us more than whether we know, because the things that people tell us, the things that we learn, and the motivation that we get from all of it, dude, is just so cool.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
No exception tonight.
That's good, man. It's always a positive to be taken from it, right?
Yep.
Dude, it's pretty amazing, man. So thank you for being a part of our show and being a part of our lives, dude. We will talk to you soon. Oh, what's the next race you're going to go to?
Man, I was hoping that it was a Silver State, but with all this craziness, maybe Vegas to Reno. I don't know what comes next right now.
All right,
we're just taking it one day at a time.
It'll be a best in the desert race, it sounds like. Well, that's what I was looking for, because I'd like to come out and see you guys and hang out. So, all right, man. Well, thank you so much for joining us, Dustin Jones. We really appreciate it. We hope you have an awesome night, bud.
One thing, I'm going to need you guys to come on our podcast when it gets kicked off.
Dude, I'm so down with that. That'd be super cool.
That'd be fair, right? We did this one, so you guys got to come on ours.
Absolutely.
Fair.
What's the name of the podcast? Do you guys have a name yet?
We haven't even named it yet. So we've got the room set up, we've got all the equipment, we've got everything in there, but haven't even named it yet.
He needs one of his cool car names somehow. It's got to have some meaning.
Yeah, that'd be kind of cool. The Pigpen Podcast.
There you go.
PP.
We might stick it out there and let viewers pick the name or something. We might just do a couple and see what everybody wants it to be called.
All right, let me know when the voting starts, because I'm going to do PPP, Pigpen Podcast.
3P.
Yeah.
All right, well, thanks, bud. I appreciate it. And if you do need any help with the podcast, I know a little bit now. So, all right, bud. Appreciate it.
Absolutely. Thank you, guys.
All right, Dustin. Thanks. We'll see you later.
All right, bye-bye.
Man, thank you very much to Dustin Jones for coming on the show. That was super cool.
For sure.
You know what's crazy about it is, like, we talk about it all the time, but, like, and some of the stuff that we talked about the last couple times has been just because of, like, inspiration and things like that, right? But Dustin is really, really similar and like-minded to all the stuff that we've done in our lives, man. And the way that he thinks and his mentality really makes me feel a lot better. Because, like, sometimes I'll go thinking in my head, and I know everybody does this because I get messages all the time, you drive yourself crazy because you think you're not thinking the right way.
Right.
You know what I mean? You're at work and you're like, shit, could I have done better? Shit, did I make my boss happy? You know, what did I do wrong this time? You get honked at in the street and you're like, was that me? Like, you know, like, and it makes me feel like I'm doing something right. Like I should be, you know, happy with the things that I've done. And it's really cool to see that he's putting in so much effort and work into the things he's passionate about.
Absolutely. And it's so hard, but it's such a simple, reoccurring recipe.
Work hard.
Work hard, treat people good.
Yep.
and do the best you can.
God, that's so
You know
important,
what I mean? It's
especially
like
right now.
It's so simple, but it's so hard.
It really is, because you get so engulfed or like in life, right?
Right. Follow your passions. Obviously, they're doing it.
Maybe it just takes a little bit to take a deep breath and like figure your shit out, right?
Mm-hmm.
And get back into the normal, be good person, hard work. All right, people. Well, we are really stoked that Dustin came on the show tonight. We took a lot of, suggestions from him, actually.
Sure.
I'm going to work hard. I'm going to be a nicer person. And I think I'm going to probably try to see if I can go up and create some more content over at Shock Therapy maybe this week. Maybe I'll go up on Wednesday or something and hang out with Justin and those guys, see how hard they're working in these tough times. And hopefully we can get you guys to join us and hang out, ask us some questions. We'll have a little bit of fun together. We'll do a live Instagram, live YouTube, something like that. Next week's show, we have fantastic person again, Shelby Anderson coming on. Shelby's another UTV World Championship winner. She's just a great person in general. She's one of those like Dustin. She's a very happy-go-lucky person, and it's going to be really nice to hear her story. She's a very young woman, and we're going to talk about, God, I just forgot the name of the restaurant, but
oh, darn it.
Yeah, I was going to say it wrong again, but we're going to talk about that Mexican food restaurant again, too. So we can't wait to talk to Shelby. We want to thank all of our sponsors. Thank you very much, Shock Therapy. Thank you, Zollinger Racing Products. Thank you, Rugged Radios. Thank you, Solderweld. And thank you, Lance, for chiming in. We really appreciate it. All of those people, you can use the code DIRTLIFE on their website or when you call, and you can save a whole bunch of cash. So please support all these people that are going to be needing your help in these tough times, and obviously they're going to support you as well because they're supporting us on the show. So thank you very, very much to all those guys. Thank you, everybody, for joining us. We really appreciate it. We apologize for that small technical difficulty that we had, and so we will see you guys next week with episode 33. Shelby Anderson. We love you guys. Good night.
Thanks for listening to The Dirt Life Show.